drive into a big park the way she was.
Then don't go. But y'all niggas gotta listen to yourself. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, y'all Shay in the building. Back at y'all with another one. This might be a long video because the video we reacting to is like 30 minutes, so this might be a long one. The link to this video is gonna be in the description down below. This video is made by originally Mr. Ballin. This man's content, pause. And with that being said, this video is called Top 3 Scary Internet Booby Traps. Let's get into it.
1 hour later.
Today's video is a reminder that there are horrible people on the internet that will take advantage of you if you're not careful. And so who better to sponsor today's video than In 2018, a 21-year-old brand new police officer named Derek was dumped by his longtime girlfriend. This breakup caught him by surprise because he had actually just recently moved to Colorado in order to be closer to his girlfriend. So naturally, he was devastated.
You was simping. Hey, these girls don't give a fuck about you no bullshit. Don't be doing shit like that. Move closer. Make her move closer to you, bro. You the man. What you gonna do? The woman don't fuck you. You fuck her. What's wrong with you?
Devastated. After a few weeks of being so depressed and kind of just moping around and going through the motions in his life at this point, one of his very close friends suggested to him, like, hey man, look, why don't you just make a profile on Tinder, the online dating service, and just put yourself out there again.
Hey, I got a little problem. Y'all niggas need to be careful though. I don't know with my age at, but y'all old enough to get on Tinder. Y'all need to be careful, bro. Don't just meet up with people. Let them meet you. Have countermeasures. Don't just let people come to your house. I always let, when I text a girl and I tell her to pull up, I always text the next house over or the house next to that one. I don't want people knowing my address. That's stupid. Don't let no stranger that you just met know your address. That's the deal. You either gonna get robbed or you gonna get pop smoked. I started using that as a reference, but y'all will get it.
You have no idea who's out there. Clearly, your ex-girlfriend was not the one. Derek had met his ex-girlfriend in a bar, and every other girlfriend he had ever had, he had met in person. So online dating was definitely not on his radar. But he was so lonely and sad, he figured, you know what? I got nothing to lose. And so he made himself a Tinder profile. Derek quickly matched with a woman on Tinder named Leah that he said was way out of his league, but he wasn't complaining. They chatted for a couple of weeks and they got on great. And
now I know you a simp. Ain't no such thing as a lead, boy. As soon as you get that mindset out your head, boy, you're gonna get endless bitches. Endless girls. Cause then you don't put them on a pedestal, then they don't treat you like shit, then you don't have to deal with other shit, you feel me? Ain't no girl out of your league. You out of her league. Period. Point blank.
So they wanted to get together and actually meet each other in person, but Leah lived well over an hour away from Derek's. There wasn't a natural meeting place, and they're going back and forth about where they want to go, and finally Leah just
take her to a bar, take her out to the park, take her out anywhere where it's out in the open and you have free range to run, get away, or just stay away from them. Like, bruh, don't go nowhere that's private. Don't go no behind a warehouse. Don't go behind no fucking weird shit. Don't do nothing private when you first meet somebody, because you don't know what these niggas' intentions are. That could be a serial killer, and that could be a catfish. You never know.
just says, hey, why don't you just come to my town? There's this great park that I go running in all the time, and they have this awesome field that's on a slope, and you can lay on it and look up through the trees and you can see the stars. And so that would be a cool thing to do on our first date, go stargazing together. So the date night finally came, and Derek was really excited. He was nervous too, because even though they've talked on the phone, this is the first time they're going to see each other. And so the plan was he was going to drive out to her town and actually pick her up from her work. She worked at a hair salon, and from there they would make their way over to this park. And so Derek pulls up to the hair salon right as Leah is coming outside, and she's all excited and she's waving to him. She runs over and she gets in the car and they hug and kiss on the cheek.
Please don't be no twist. Please don't be no weird twist.
And it's like they knew each other, but they didn't know each other because their entire relationship was online or, you know, via texting or a phone call. And so it's like they had history, but they didn't. But either way, Derek was really happy, and it seemed like Leah was too. From the hair salon, it was a pretty short drive to this access road that was going to bring them in.
Oh yeah, and the thing with women, the quicker you show her your true personality, the better it's gonna go. If you texting her, you gotta be like very positive sounding. You feel me? But when you're on a phone call, you can be more real. You can be more like yourself. Because when you texting somebody, they can't get if you're flirting. They don't get. All right. So basically, all they see is a text. It's just text. It's not. It's how they feel in the moment. So if they had a shitty day and you text that ass fat, they be like, it's fucking pervert. But if they in a flirty mood and they see, they be like, it's ass fat. You trying to get something. Like, you never know, bro. But you gotta, you know what I'm saying? It's better to get on a phone call. It's better to meet in person. If you meet online, text first, get on the phone. Y'all vibe on the phone. Y'all should be able to vibe in real life. Period.
Into this park, and when Leah told him to make this turn, it didn't look like a very well marked trail or even a marked park. It looked like this kind of random access road that Derek would not have associated with a big public park, but he doesn't know the area, and so he turns and he starts heading down this road, and the road...
That's when I would have paused the car. What you doing, man? I would have gave it a look like, what you doing? Where we finna go? Matter of fact, how about you get out my car? You go there, FaceTime me, so I can see that it's an actual park. Like, bro, you gotta be protective of yourself and your energy, bro. Fuck that. Fuck what your friends say. Fuck what your family say. You gotta protect you, because only you living in your body. Real.
The road went from cement to dirt pretty quickly, and this whole time he's thinking to himself, like, did I take a wrong turn? Does she know like where she's going? This does not feel like the way you drive into a big park, the way she was.
Then don't go. But y'all niggas gotta listen to yourself. But I don't care if you feel lonely, if you that horny, bro. Go turn that horny energy into like something positive. Improve yourself. Hell no. You finna get robbed, my nigga.
Was describing. Finally, they land back on cement, and they're actually on this road that's right up against this huge field. And so right away, Derek's stress is gone, because now it's confirmed in his mind that, okay, that's a weird way to get into this park, but here's this huge, amazing field, and we're back on a real road, and everything's good again. Derek asked Leia, where should I park? Because they're on this really narrow road, and there didn't appear to be a parking lot. There also didn't appear to be anybody else on this field or on this road. It's this huge, open, beautiful space, but it did not look well populated or like it was well traveled. But she said, just go right up there. There's a small lot you can pull into. And so Derek starts going up this road, and he sees maybe 300 feet ahead of him are dim headlights of another car making their way down the road towards him. And now it was dark enough that he couldn't really make out what kind of vehicle it was. And so he didn't know if it was going to be some big truck or something like that. And so what he did is he just pulled over as far to the side of the road as he could to allow this vehicle to pass, even though there was a fair amount of distance they would need to cover before they were passing him. He figured just give them the right of the road. And so as they start moving forward, you can see that it's actually this big van.
Or fuck all of that and get you a fucking cannon. For real. Get you a cannon. They mess with you. You feel me? If you in this situation and some bullshit like that, pull out. Go in the dashboard, pull that motherfucker out, put it on your lap. And look at it, be like, so what you really trying to get into? What you really trying to get into? Type shit.
and they're moving pretty slowly. And he's just kind of waiting for them to pass, and he's not thinking anything of this. He's thinking that this is just another person at the park. And this van, instead of passing him, actually turns at the last second and almost goes bumper to bumper with Derek's car. He doesn't crash into it, but he stops just in front of Derek's car. And so Derek...
Red flag, red flag. As soon as I would have seen him stop, I would have took off driving. Bro, I would have put that bitch on speed. And if it's on that road that he showed, bro, check me out. Check me out. Check me out. You see this road, bro? I'm taking the fuck off, my nigga. If they over here on this little thing, I hope y'all can see where my mouth's at. If he on over here, right here, and he stopped, and my car like right here, shit, I'm finna put my foot on the gas and take off. And I don't know what I'm gonna do after that. I'm gonna figure out some shit. I'm like, how the fuck we get out of here? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask her how the fuck we get out of here. She be like, what are you doing? And she start that shit. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna open the passenger door, open that motherfucker up, push her out, close the door, take off by my damn self, figure some shit out.
Just in front of Derek's car. And so Derek is a cop. He's a brand new cop. And he's super aggressive. You know, he really believes in his training. And so as soon as this guy stopped in front of him and blocked the path for him, red flags are going up for Derek, and he knows something's wrong with this van. And instinctively, he says, Leah, stay here. He grabs his flashlight that he kept right in the center console, and he jumped out of the car and went...
Nigga, you got a flashlight? You was a cop? You a pig? You officer? You a op? You 12? And you grab your fucking flashlight? If a cop murder.
Right to the driver's side door of this van to confront this guy. And when he got up to the driver's side door, it was this really big guy who looked pretty startled to see Derek come charging up to him with his flashlight. And Derek's like, what are you doing, man? What are you blocking me in for?
Hey, Derek got balls though, no bullshit. You probably scared the fuck out that nigga. He like, I thought he was pussy.
And the guy's like, oh, hey, sorry, I'm the caretaker here of this whole property. And we've had an issue with poachers in the area. And I was concerned you guys were poachers. It doesn't look like you're poachers, though. And Derek's like, no, we're not poachers. We're going stargazing. I'm on my first date here. And the caretaker's like, I am so sorry. Please get back in your car, go and enjoy your night. And at that, he backed up, did a 3-point turn, and drove right back up that road where he came from and disappeared down on the other side of the hill. Derek stood in front of his car for a couple of minutes, making sure this guy was gone. And then he turned around and he got back in the car and he kind of joked with Leah. And he's like, yeah, he thought we were poachers. I guess you look like a poacher to him, and that's why he stopped us. But when he...
I'm finna Google that shit right now. I don't know what the fuck that is. Poachers. Poacher. A pan? What is a poacher? One that trespasses or steals. Really?
He looked over at Leah to react.
What they gonna steal in the open field?
React to his
corn?
Hilarious joke. She wasn't paying attention to him. She was just furiously typing away on her phone, which Derek did think was a little bit odd. You'd think that she'd be more interested in this strange thing that just happened. Some weird guy just blocked.
Hell no. If I go back to the girl and she get pissed off and she's not like even worried about how a car just stopped us, and she's mad and she's stressing on her phone like, why the fuck ain't y'all get him, get rob this nigga type shit. I'm finna be like, get out my car. Like, I don't know, bruh, I'm very protective of myself. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Check me out. If that happens, bruh, I'm telling her to get out the car. I'm reversing the car. I'm gonna figure out a way to reverse the car in this open field. And I'm gonna drive home. And I'm gonna go match up with another bitch. But you're not worth my life.
Locked us in, and I'm confronting him. You'd think she'd be interested in that on some level. She might want to know what I said to the guy and what he said to me, but she didn't seem to care. She was just really invested in whoever she was typing on her phone. And so Derek
that's even rude and disrespectful. She could be talking to a whole nother nigga.
thinks whatever and just throws the car back in drive and continues up the trail the way they were going before they were stopped. So Derek continues down the road just a little ways until he sees a little dirt lot.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry for pausing so much, but you got 5 red flags. Whatever happens next, bro, you deserve it.
That's butted up against this huge field they're going to be hanging out on for the night. And so he pulls into the lot, backs into a space, and he and Leah get out and they put a blanket out right next to the car, but on the grass on the hill. And they get their food out and their wine out, and they sit down, and very quickly they start swapping stories, and they're laughing and they're stargazing and they're having some wine, and everything's really great. After about an hour, it's totally dark outside, and Derek is laying on the hill facing back towards his car and towards the road they were on. And he notices to his left, up at the top of the hill, so the same area where the van had come from originally and where it went back to after they spoke that one time. Derek is looking out there and he sees headlights, and it's the van. And now the van is driving down the road, not leisurely like it was before, but they are flying down the hill. And before Derek or Leah have a chance to react to this van barreling down on them, it comes flying into the parking lot and practically hits his car and comes to a stop where it's boxed his car in. So even if he got in his car, he couldn't drive away. And so Derek jumps up, Leah jumps up, and the guy, the caretaker, the nice caretaker he talked to before, he hops out of the driver's seat and he walks around the front of the van. He's got this pipe in his hand and he looks at Derek and he's like, "Give me your keys and your wallet." And again, Derek is this brand new cop. He's 21 years old. He's not about to let this guy push him around. And so he doesn't do anything at first. He doesn't know what he's going to do, but he doesn't do anything at first.
I'm disappointed. Bro, if you got balls to confront a nigga out the blue, I'm talking about out the blue confront a nigga, bro, you should have the ball. Like, you should have like a little mind. Like you should take a mental note of, alright, this homie pulled up on me with some weird shit. Girl I was with, like, you ain't got no kind of like common sense type shit. Like, you ain't got no kind of common sense. Cause me, I would've broke all that shit down. I'm a thinker, like I be analyzing all kinds of shit. Like I analyze everything. So I'm like, okay, she ain't shit. This nigga's trying to set me up. I'm leaving. That's what I would've did.
To this guy and he shows him that I'm not just going to fall over because he told me to. But then Derek is given a huge curveball when Leah, his date, stands up and runs over to this guy and stands next to him and turns around and looks at Derek and goes, "Come on, give us your keys and wallet." And Derek's like, "Great, I'm getting set up by my date who I've spent the past 2 hours with, I had a connection with this girl." And so now Derek is just standing there doing nothing, not to be tough, but because he's in shock. He feels so betrayed by Leah, and he just feels like, how could this have happened?
How can you be betrayed by a stranger? You just met the bitch. Y'all niggas be getting attached to.
And in that moment, Leah walks to the back of the van and she gets a metal pipe. She comes back around and she goes, "Derek, give us your keys and your wallet. We don't want to have to hurt you." And this is when Derek looks at them both and he goes, "No." And as soon as he said that, the big guy tackles him. He gets thrown to the ground, but Derek could handle himself, and very quickly he was able to get up, and he drew his concealed carry pistol, and he's aiming it at the big guy and then back at Leah, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a cop. Go ahead and put your hands up now." As soon as they saw the gun, they both dropped their pipes and put their hands up. And so as he's holding them both at gunpoint, and he's looking over at Leah like, "Really? You did this to me? Are you kidding me right now?" As he's doing that, he has to get his cell phone out of his pocket, type in 911, and then called dispatch and had to say who he was, what his badge number was, what happened, and where he is. And where he is was difficult to describe. And so as he's trying to explain these directions, and he's saying, yep, go left at the light, and then there's a gas station there, and you're gonna go up this field, you're gonna see me, I got these two people at gunpoint. As he's doing that, Leah and the caretaker look at each other, and they just turn around and bolt. They figure, he's distracted, we can at least get behind the van and run into...
I would've shot both of their kneecaps out. Both of them. Y'all try to play with me, I bet you see. This ain't no Twitter beef, I pull up where you sleep. Fuck you talking.
The forest before he's going to catch us. And so instinctively, he takes off running after them, and he chases them for about 30 seconds into the tree line before he starts hearing gunshots. And they weren't his, someone's shooting at him, and he sees the muzzle flash out in the middle of the forest, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this." He turns around, runs back to his vehicle, he starts it up, and he has to basically smash into the van, back into the fence over and over again like Austin Powers, like a 25-point turn before he was barely able to grind his way out and peel out of this park. And so Derek pulls into the nearest gas station, he calls up dispatch and he says, "Hey, I just called 911 like 5-10 minutes ago and I dropped the call because I was chasing somebody here's my name, here's my badge number. I'm now at this gas station. Can you send a couple of police officers over to my location now? And they said, yep, we'll send some to you. And so a police cruiser shows up with 2 officers inside that Derek recognized. They were senior to him. And they got out, and he explained again what happened, and they kind of gave him a hard time for getting catfished on his very first date. But at the same time, they knew it could have gone really badly. And so they decide they're going to load up in the police cruiser together, all 3 of them, and drive back up to the park. And so they get up to the park, and Derek points ahead, and he goes, that's the van. It's still here. And so they drive up and they stop short of the van. And the 2 uniformed officers, they turn to Derek and they're like, just stay in here. We're going to go check this van out. And so Derek's sitting in the car watching these guys go up to the vehicle, guns drawn. They're looking all around. They're clearing behind the vehicle. They're looking in the wood line. There's nobody there. And at some point he sees them put their pistols away and they go in the van. They're kind of shining with their flashlights all around. They're looking in the back, looking in the front. And then after a few minutes, they walk back to the cruiser. And as soon as they got in, Derek could tell there was just something off about how they were acting. When they were down at the gas station, they were kind of joking around with him. Now, whatever they had seen in the van was definitely not something they were going to joke about. And they turned to him and they're like, the back of the van, it was just knives and saws and pistols and rifles and lighter fluid and chains and
They were finna do you dirty. They were finna do you the worst way.
handcuffs and duct tape. It was just awful, and it looks like there might even be blood on the ground. The 2 officers immediately called in additional backup, and before long, it was a full-fledged circus around this van of a crime scene investigation unit and other police officers, spotlights set up, and they went out looking in the woods for these people, but they never found the guy, they never found the girl, and Derek would tell the other investigators, hey, she works at this hair salon, like right down the road, I picked her up there. And so they went over to the hair salon and they wound up talking to the people there and they said, we've never heard of Leah. And when they showed them a picture of Leah, they were like, we've never seen her before. And so they came back and they told Derek, look, she's a con artist. And this whole thing, your whole relationship with her has been her setting you up in some way, shape, or form. The entire thing. That's all it ever was. And so for Derek, that was crushing. And he swore off Tinder immediately. He did not want to do any more online dating. But what really haunts him more than just being taken advantage of is, what would have happened if I wasn't concealed carrying? Would I have wound up in the back of that van?
Yeah. Yes. Alright, with that no. Let me tell y'all something. If you're online with somebody, you feel like they ain't got no kind of human personality. I don't know about Tinder. Tinder, if they got bios and shit like that, if they ain't got shit really unique in their bio and they just in a hurry to meet up with you, they ain't trying to talk to you first, they ain't trying to do anything, they just trying to meet up with you. I'm talking about female. If a female is just trying to meet up with you on some let's just talk type shit, she ain't even trying to, she ain't got no sense of being horny or she just really dig you or some of that shit, but don't do it. It's not worth it. I'm talking about no amount of meat is worth your safety, bro. No bullshit. Don't do it. Don't do it. And with that being said, we're gonna watch the other part of this video in another video because we already at 23 minutes. That's a lot of editing. Alright, with that being said, if you're welcome to Welch, you're welcome here. I will hope for y'all to subscribe to the channel. Join the motherfucking army. You feel me? And I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers for my birthday or before the end of the year. That's a personal goal of mine. Y'all can help me with that. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll probably do some giveaways later on in the future. You feel me? Now, tell your family about the Mafia Gang group. Now, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.